Good evening, everyone. My name is Patricia Gitari. I'm a multidisciplinary scientist based in Nairobi. My interest has been in chemistry and drug discovery research for a very long time. But currently, I work for the European Union on a project that looks at security and safety of chemicals, biological, radiological, and nuclear materials. I'm happy to be here on this live on this stream to discuss STEM. And I would like to talk about my early life and the influences. I grew up watching TV and watching scientific programs, and this is because my father was very keen on science and my mother on education. So my earliest memories was when I was watching programs about how the mind works, how the body works. So I had a lot of interest in sciences, although I didn't know where I would be. As a child, of course, I did not have that any idea where I would end up. But in high school, I sort of started liking more of chemistry than physics, but I loved biology more. So in university, I ended up combining both chemistry and biology and studied biochemistry. So this is something that for me was, I felt like I was at home in terms of science. After college, as most of us did, I worked in sales, but it was a job that I knew I would not pursue for a very long time. One of the things that shaped me was when I was looking for jobs on the website, and I would see these United Nations vacancies, which what struck me is that they required scientists with PhDs and 15 years of experience. So I knew that if I needed to work in any of such an agency, I would need to get a PhD one and then get the experience. So I went ahead and applied for my postgraduate studies. So I studied a master's in chemistry and a PhD in pharmacology. And during this time, I met very, very wonderful scientists who shaped me. Some of them, of course, were men. For my master's, I had two very intriguing scientists, one very adventurous and one strict chemist. I went into the field of drug design and drug discovery through one of the supervisors called Dr. Bowen, who connected me to the University of Pretoria. So I started liking the combination of synthetic inorganic chemistry and um, and um, and pharmacology. So that's how I pursued my pharmacology. And after that, I went on to do most of the drug design. But when I got my first job after the university, I lectured in chemistry, and not much was happening in the university. And later on, I decided to set up my own laboratory because I realized that all I was doing was teaching, and there was very little research because of the poor infrastructure. And my idea was to set up a laboratories that could have actually been used by postgraduate students in Kenya. They could come to me and I would assist them, use my laboratory, use my knowledge just to get their master's programs or PhD because it's quite difficult. And I think the reason why I left university is because I realized the only path to me being a leader was going through the promotions and end up in managerial posts, which I was not very keen on. I was very keen on being a scientist. So I met very good people who impacted on me as a leader. I met Professor Ruth Onyango, who asked me to be a reviewer for her magazine. She's a strong woman who had a journal in agriculture, so I assisted her in being a reviewer. I trained quite a number of postgraduate students who came to my laboratory. We had interns who came in for a few months, trained them on skills, and we were happy to see them go and actually work elsewhere or pursue further studies. It's very difficult to run facilities such as a scientific facility in this country because it's capital intensive one, and then it's overregulated. So in the end, it became, I decided to become a consultant, although the laboratory still runs. But when one talks about changing careers and what the challenges were, as a woman, sometimes you find that it can be very difficult to pursue a career that you really have at heart. For example, I was trained by OPCW, which is the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, and I could have chosen to be an inspector, but it required that I work at The Hague and travel extensively at a very short notice. So for me, being a mother, and that time my daughter was about 10 years old, I knew this was a job that I could not take up. But it didn't stop me. I think the idea is that if one route doesn't work, you pick up something else. So instead of sitting there and feeling miserable about it. In some cases, you find that women may not be able to pursue some jobs. For example, working in areas of nuclear or radiation. I worked in a facility in Pretoria where we were synthesizing radionuclides for a technology called positron emission tomography. And this is used for diagnostics. And this is an area where there's high radiation. So if you're a woman of reproductive age, it would not be highly recommended to work in areas where there could be ionizing radiation, because this could affect a fetus or even affect cells that could turn cancerous. So there are some of those challenges, but I think it's important to look at them as not as something that pulls us down, but look at it that maybe that is not where you should be, or you could work in the same area, but not necessarily in an area that could expose us to danger. There are some role models that I met in the earlier years. In my formative years, we really didn't have formal or programs that on mentorship. You had to pick your mentor. You had to look at someone and maybe pick what is good out of them and see maybe this is where I want to be. Of course, this is dangerous because one could pick a mentor who's not leading them to the right path. But I remember my primary school headmistress, she was a nun. She's one of the people who kept telling me, Patricia, you're doing a good job. You're very good at what you do. But she always told us pride is a sin. I've never forgotten that. Pride is a sin. And I think what she basically was saying, at that time I didn't understand, but now I do understand that the skills we acquire are not ours on our own. And humility is really a virtue. And as you move up into the world of leadership, you should be more humble than you were before, because there's no point of going up into the world, reaching the top, and you've trampled all over people, and you've used maybe very, very questionable methods to get to the top. So the best thing is to be strong, don't second guess yourself, and pick what you can. There's some things that you're not able to do or achieve at a certain time. But sometimes it's not the race, sometimes you just need to do what you can at that time. When it comes to leadership, I feel like when you move up to the world as a young person trying to take up leadership positions, remember that one of the things is that you have to be ethical, you have to be reliable, because people like reliability, and this is something for the young people. Sometimes people would complain, especially a young person will say, these people don't understand me, and I'm trying to do my best, and it's not working out. But we also have to realize that there's a responsibility for each one of us. So if you have a mentor, you need to be reliable. If you have a task to do, that task needs to be completed on time. It needs to be done well. Whatever you do, you have to do it well. And then approach work without the biases. Yes, we find areas where people discriminate against us. You attend a meeting and people assume that you are one of the people maybe photocopying documents, and yet you're the presenter. That has happened to me before. But I think the best thing is every time you meet a group of people, if you're given a task, do your best to do it without bias. Don't bring the previous experiences into a current job, because it may not work on you. It may not work very well. And also it means that you have already judged the people that you're going to work with. For an older person, I would say I would not want to impose my ideas on other people. I would like to guide younger people. And then for the younger ones, I would tell them that it would be good that they pick what is there, what they feel is good, what they see. They look at someone and say, I like the qualities of this person. Don't pick all the qualities. Not all may be good. So pick pieces of here and there, and then knit them together like a quilt. The way you have a quilt, you have different colors and make it beautiful. So don't imagine that one person is going to impact all the positives in your life. And for impact and legacy, I would like younger people to look at failures as experiences, make every effort to fall forward. If you fall, take time out, and then look up and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I did wrong. And I think it's also important to accept when you have made a mistake. This is very difficult for many people. And change your mind. It's not weak to change your mind. If you feel something is not working for you, just don't continue with it. look for a better way to get to where you're going. Nothing is cast in stone. So don't be afraid to start again or change direction. I changed direction so many times. This is not where I never thought I would be a consultant working on chemical security and safety. I thought I would work in the lab all my life because I love the laboratory, but this is where I am. And I'm enjoying the journey actually. And I think the most important thing is also to do it your way. Do it your way. Say that I did it my way and be happy about what you've done. In terms of intergenerational, it's important, of course. As I said earlier, the skills we acquire are not ours only. You need to share these skills. I developed a program in 2018 for children in science, and we had this science camp for 3 days. I actually funded it myself for a long time, but we stopped during COVID period because of the restrictions. So we took time, we brought together children between 7 and 18 years old, because I knew as a lecturer at the university that our teaching is very stretched when it comes to science. Teaching of science in Kenya is very, very difficult for the teachers, mostly because the schools are overpopulated, the facilities are strained. Most of the time, the laboratories do not have chemicals, so they don't have hands-on experience. The children do not have hands-on experience, and this is what we brought to them. So for us to ensure that the next generation has leaders, we need to involve children at a young age. Let them get excited in science. I've involved also my children. I think it's also important as a parent, if you're a parent, to involve your children in what you do, because those are the first, they will see you every day. My children see me every day, and they will take something out of there. It doesn't matter what I do, in which field I am in. But if I involve them in my work, I involve them in some of the activities that I do, then I'm bringing up leaders who will bring up other leaders. So that is one of the ways of maintaining the generations of leaders. And one of the failures we have in Africa is that we fail to document our work. We always share our knowledge to everybody, and we are very excited about it, especially scientists. Scientists have a way of being very generous with information. I feel that we need to start documenting our work to make sure that we protect ourselves, and this information from the research that we do, from the work that we do, can be handed over to the other generations. Let someone else see that we as African women can be leaders, can be discoverers we are innovators. We shouldn't be that innovation is done by somebody else. Let's be innovators. Let them see us as leaders. Let them see us as people who can come up with new ideas. So that is what I can say about STEM and leadership and the influences I've had over time. So I can say that my life has not been influenced by one person, but several people. And it's important to see that it's not always easy to be where you want, but the journey can be difficult. It can have many obstacles. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's circumstances, but do the best you can when you're at a certain space. Look forward, but always look forward with hope, and also don't be afraid. Yeah, I think that's what I can say. Thank you.